Hello, everyone. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you're joining us from. I know we have some attendees coming from all over. Welcome, and thank you so much for being here for today's webinar, Unlocking Precision, Leveraging AI for Enhanced Forecasting and Inventory Management. My name is Sabina Kadar, and I'll be the moderator today. We'll begin the webinar presentation shortly, but first, I'm just going to take a minute to go over a few logistics. So the webinar presentation is going to run approximately 45 minutes, and then we'll be saving the rest of the time for Q&A at the end. Now, during the webinar, you can submit questions at any time using the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. So please, as they come to mind, go ahead and submit them. We'll be monitoring these questions throughout the webinar, and we'll compile a list for Q&A at the end of the presentation. We also will be taking questions that are submitted during the Q&A session itself. Now, we'll do our best to address as many questions as we can. If we don't get to your question, don't worry. You'll receive a follow-up email from us after the conclusion of the webinar. We also will be recording today's webinar, and we'll be emailing you a link to the video sometime next week when it's available. This webinar recording is also going to be posted to both the Forecast Pro website and our YouTube channel. And this is actually where you can find a full archive of all of our past webinars. So if you missed any of our webinars, go ahead and check it out. They're all free, and it's a great way to catch up or maybe just brush up on some of your different forecasting topics and skills. So with that, I'll now turn it over to Sheetal to introduce herself and kick off today's webinar, Unlocking Precision, Leveraging AI for Enhanced Forecasting and Inventory Management.
Thank you, Sabina. Thanks for the introduction. I'm excited for this webinar. So just to give an intro of myself, I'm Sheetal. I take care of operations here at Anamine. I've been part of this company for last 8 years, working on various supply chain projects and working with several companies across different industries and geographies in this domain. So excited to share some of the details of Forecast Pro, as well as to start off with, would like to give a brief intro of Anamind to start off with. Now, as Anamine, we are a company based out of Bangalore. We have been helping companies build robust supply chain planning capability. We have core competence in supply chain planning. We've been working with various customers, including some of the Fortune 500 companies. So we have been fortunate enough to work with them. We have been very recently recognized by Economic Times Edge as one of the promising brand of 2023. We have been also recognized by several different institutes across this journey of more than 8 years now since inception. And the capabilities that we offer within supply chain planning starts from demand planning, where we have solutions which can use AI ML capability to generate an accurate forecast. And there are a whole bunch of details that will go in the later part of the segment today. But as AI ML techniques are being widely used, just to let you know, Forecast Pro, which we will showcase in this webinar, is using these capabilities since a long time now, and it helps companies improve and generate more accurate forecasts. Now, the information of this demand forecast flows in to my inventory module, and we do have solutions and systems in place for that as well, where the information from demand forecasting or the forecast would flow into my inventory plan, where the forecast would be netted off against my available inventory on hand. It would look at lead time. It would look at how much safety stock we need to maintain, expirations, and a whole lot of other factors that are typically looked into for optimizing the inventory level. Further, the information flows in to my MRP procurement planning, where we can feed in the BOM as well. We can look at supplier management, where we can look at container capacity optimization. So the information, say from my inventory optimization, demand plan, all of that together further flows into my production plan. And we can look at my resource-wise capacity mapping, machine-wise work order scheduling, and then further to SNOP collaboration, reporting, all of that. So we do have capabilities end to end, which supports all of these functions that you can see on the screen and much more to be honest. So that's something that we have as an offering within Animind. To also talk about the different ways in which we provide our services is technology, the where we have softwares in place to help you hit the ground running, and some of the solutions, which is one of them is Focus Pro, which can help you with a very quick and easy to start forecasting process. We have had customers who have started off generating forecasts in a week's time, and there are certain customers who may start off with a day's uh, time as well if the data is available. So that's how quick and easy these systems are to use. We do offer our consulting and modeling services where we consult companies in terms of using their existing systems and processes. We have capability in some of the options that you see on the screen. We do have capability in terms of creating way creating insightful reports and dashboards. Over a period of time, our customers wanted our support in automating some of the planning report. And since we come from this background, it was easy for us to prepare and create these reports. Further, we also support companies in covering the quantitative and qualitative best practices and process uh, uh, best practices and guidelines. And some of the companies that we have worked with in this regard, some of the leading names that we have, where we have also onboarded the sales team to these processes via the training workshops. Companies like Asian Paints, Sun Pharma, we've been able to work with them uh, to set up best practices and process guidelines. To talk a bit about Focus Pro, what Focus Pro has in store, it's one of the best solutions that I have worked with. It's a solution with more than 37 years of existence. They have decades of planning experience, 40,000 plus users across the globe. Some of the leading companies is using the solution. It's from a company called as Business Forecast System. We have Sarah Sabina representing that today, and it is a very easy to use solution used by companies across the globe. And to talk about what it offers in AI ML capability, we have uh, some of the best features out there in Focus Pro. It provides a comprehensive forecasting, solution. Can be used for almost all the companies out there. All different scenarios that you can think of is covered within Focus Pro. Focus Pro as a solution, uh, there are different techniques available for forecasting. We have primarily time series uh, forecasting options available. We have machine learning model, exponential smoothing model, ARIMA model. We do have dynamic regression. We have options for product mapping or new product introductions, event management, uh, base diffusion model, and lot of other things that we would want to have in a system. It's already there, and we will showcase during the later part of the section what the system has in store for us. In terms of the capability, system like Focus Pro and Focus Pro uses best pick algorithm, which would automatically select a best fit method or model uh, for each and every data series. So for if we have fed the data at an item location in the system, it would generate a best fit forecast for the item and location combination. So each and every item would have a different forecasting method picked up by the system, or at least the parameters would be different depending on how the data is for a particular item. So it takes that into consideration. We have an extensive forecast accuracy reporting option available within Forecast Pro, which is a waterfall-like report where we can figure out how the changes in forecast really happened and what is my accuracy across different lead times and the horizon. The customized hierarchy and multiple units of measure. It's also a very useful feature within Forecast Pro where we can look at the forecast, not just in terms of pure units, but we can also look at it in terms of value, in terms of cases, or any other unit of measure that we may be keen on. And the modeling and what if scenarios that are available within the system, which uses event modeling, where we can use and leverage the promotion information to understand how my demand would shape up and possibly fine tune it further and model it further and figure out what would be the impact uh, on different levels. Um, Focus Pro, I think any forecasting system would have, SNOP option. System has an extensive collaboration option via Excel as well as directly on screen. We can also feed in certain external information. It could be certain external forecast. It could be any other information that you would want to review against the statistical forecast. It could be a open inventory, open orders, uh, just to review where the forecast is. So that's something that available and Focus Pro certainly supports the capability. Now, these are some of the capabilities that we have where we can further look at exception reporting, new product forecasting, and all of that. And these are the capabilities which are inherent to the tool, and that makes it such a robust system further. To talk about some of the case studies that we have, or some of the successful cases that we have while working with companies and while implementing our solution, one of the case that I have is of this food and beverage client of ours. It is in food and beverage space, and food and beverage space has this very important metric where there is an expirations attached. Now, if I do not have the right forecast, I may end up either overstocking or understocking. And if I overstock, it may result in expiration. So this customer is also in a similar segment where the shelf life of the product is in ranges from say 15 days or even in certain cases less than that. For fresh produce, some of the fresh items that are used, it is less than a week, and it goes up till a year, 5 months or 6 months for certain products. So hence for this customer, forecast accuracy was of the prime importance. And as we all know, there is always fluctuation in the consumer demand, which resulted in a lot of inventory imbalances. So this customer has been using the system for more than 8 years now. And when they started off this process, everything was pretty manual in Excel. There was a lot of wastage which was happening, and the solution when we implemented, which was Forecast Pro, initially. Uh, the forecast accuracy, which was at 76%, it moved to 90% plus for certain products. And this was a game changer for the company. Now, at a week level, to be able to achieve this level of accuracy, it means that they reduced a lot of food waste, which was previously happening because of expiration and low forecast accuracy. Now, this also resulted in them saving a lot of cost during the COVID time. They were able to manage with a very low inventory, and hence, when the COVID struck, they were able to save a lot of cost compared to their competitor because they had invested in this solution. Their accuracy was pretty good. So this was a visible case that we have in a food and beverage segment. Similarly, focus has been implemented not just in food and beverage segment. We have had instances where companies just with a push button forecast, they've improved their accuracy straight away by 10%. And even in B2B segments, and we've implemented solutions for chemical paints company, spare parts, uh, pharma, food and beverage, consumer goods, just uh, just almost everywhere, and everyone has seen fantastic results with Focus Pro. I also have one more case study or a success case in a pharma company where, again, they were using uh, a different solution. Most of the work was happening in Excel. The accuracy was not really great. They have different geographies, and each of the geography was sort of creating their own forecast. There was no set standard process. So as Anamind, we helped them set up a standard process, set up a bunch of reports which they would track on a regular basis and use the system to help them generate accurate forecast. Again, there was a stark improvement in forecast accuracy after they used the application, the system. They also, because of the reports and the processes that we had set, we were able to track how the utilization in each of the markets were. And we noticed that initially the markets were pretty tentative to utilize the system, and hence the utilization of statistical focus without changing much was 30%, and it shot up to 82%, of course, over a period of time with continuous efforts. And we collaborated with this company for a period of time so that they can set the process. So that was something that we were able to help them achieve via using a solution like Forecast Pro. So what I would now want to do is move to Forecast Pro just to show you how the system is and how best we can leverage the application. I hope you are able to see my screen, which is Forecast Pro. Now, this is the application of Forecast Pro. To start off with, this is the screen or the layout that I would like to start off with, which is the dashboard page. And before moving to the dashboard, let's look at what kind of data that goes into uh, the the Forecast Pro. Now, I've selected Data Manager, and as you can see, via Data Manager, I have these different options that have come in. I can feed in into the system the time series data, which is my past sales data. Primarily, it could be sales, it could be shipments, it could be orders. Now, different companies tend to use different parameters for generating forecast. Now, depending on what are we trying to forecast, we can feed in that information, and that goes in the historic data segment. We can feed the data via Excel or an ODBC file or MLG file. And along with this past sales information, we can also feed in into the system certain conversions. If you want to look at my data in value or revenue, or if I want to look at my margin, uh, I can do that by feeding in my conversion factors. I can also feed in the external data, which we previously spoke about, that the data which can help me in my collaboration or my S&OP process. It could be my targets, budget, it could be my maybe finance forecast or any other data point. So we have fed in into the system my opening stock, my month to date sales, my open orders, my opening stock, targets, etc. We can also feed in my explanatory variables which would have an impact on my demand, on my sale of the product. Now, there are companies who may want to look at these options as well, and we have an option to feed the data into the system so that we can regress and see if there is a uh, prominent relationship between my independent variable and my dependent variable, which is my demand. And if there is, then we can leverage Forecast Pro to generate more accurate forecasts and use those leading indicators. We have a lot of other information that we can feed into the system, which is my lead time, my if I want to give different weights to different time period uh, because of certain activity that may have happened, which would have impacted our demand, then we can do that via helper sections, or we can, if there are a lot of new products and we have the substitute product for them, or if we have a similar product for them, then we can use the mapped history function and upload the data into the system. So once we feed the data into the system would read that information and generate a forecast. And it would create a hierarchy like this. Now we have created a dummy example for this webinar where we have a company which is into different segments. We have, we have chemical paint segment, we have consumer goods, food and beverage, cosmetics. So we have the now within, say, for example, chemical paints, we have these different segments. We have chemicals, fertilizers, wall care, adhesives. Within consumer goods, I have electronics, furnitures. In cosmetics, I have different product. In food and beverage, I may have different product. I would have different products in fashion apparel or cosmetics. So as we know and we have seen that different companies and different industries have used the system, so it's pretty user friendly and easy to use system across different industries. Hence, we wanted to give a glimpse of all these different areas for the call for the session today. Now, once we select the data, you can see the information on this portion of the screen, the right side of the screen, is also changing. I've selected adhesives. If I select chemical, ethanol, if I select a different product, then automatically my graph and the dashboard over here is changing. Now let's review. As a planner, I would want to understand once I would refresh the data, how my accuracy looks like, what's the kind of value add that my team is doing to the whole process. So what was my actuals, what was my statistical forecast, what was my final forecast, what is the forecast error, and what is my value add with respect to statistical. And as I would be selecting these different segments, you can see the information is changing. So it's very easy to navigate in the system and get the information. So I've selected, say, in this case, cosmetic. And within cosmetic, say, for example, if I just want to look at uh, the what my what my accuracies are, what my errors are, what uh, my value add is, I can do so from the screen. So now this is a tracking report or a waterfall report, which is quite useful because I would want to understand how is my forecast changing month on month. What's the new data that comes in? How is my forecast changing? So I have my actual data for last 6 months available over here. I have the option to look at my forecast. So what was my forecast that the system generated in the month of June for the next 6 months? Then in July, what did the system generate the forecast from August onwards? And similarly for August, what was my forecast submitted for September? So I can very quickly see what is my MAPE percent. Now, in this case, I can see with a lead time of 1, my MAPE is 7.51% at beauty cream level, and it sort of increases as the lead time is increasing over here. So I can do series analysis or I can do end item analysis. I can, further drill down and see for each and every item how my accuracies are or how my error is. And we can also customize this to a large extent. We can select what kind of lead times we would want to see, how many periods do we want to see, do we want to see end item analysis, series analysis, component analysis. These are some of the inbuilt feature within the system. These are some of the standard reports available within Focus Pro, which is which gives power to a demand planner to validate the data in great depth without having the need to connect with an IT team to create these reports. These are readily available in the application. I also have a report where I can very quickly see what my forecast is versus same period last year. If I want to see which are those items where I have high deviation, I can very easily have a very quick understanding of this as well. And as I'm selecting these different items, you can see the information is changing. And that's the beauty of Forecast Pro, where we can slice dice the information and get the uh, required output. Now, once I would do this quick check as to what are those items which I really have to review some of the exceptions, I can then analyze if I want to change the model. I want to see what my what was my statistical forecast, what was my actuals. So I can keep on doing that and um, and get the output in the form and possibly take some action. Maybe I would want to reach out to my sales team, figure out what's happening in the market. Why did my sales go down? Because I system was suggesting a slightly higher demand. So what happened there? So I can collect and collate those information and feed them as an input into the system as well. So let's look at how I would want to view the forecast. And this is where the system is quite capable in terms of generating the forecast. I may want to select a particular item, and in the forecasting tab on top, you can see all these different options available over here. So we have something called as expert selection. So by default, Forecast Pro generates forecast at the last level. So now in this case, I've selected within food and beverage, I've selected an aerated drink 500 ml product in a location, Chennai, in India. And when I do that, I can very easily see that the system is generating the forecast at this level. And this is where the expert selection helps me understand and make sense of how the system is generating a forecast. So Forecast Pro has various rules and logic through which each and every data series is passed through these different rules. And there's some 100 plus rules and logic inbuilt in the backend. And based on these rules, system would try to narrow down its choices of models. In this case, it is narrowed down its choices to two models, which is an exponential smoothing model and an ARIMA model or Box-Jenkins models. Now, what it will then do is it will perform an out of sample test uh, for these two different models to determine which model gives the least error. So now in this case, it is selecting last 12 period as the horizon. So it is selecting last 12 months of data. So it's basically chopping off last 12 months of data, and then it is generating a forecast. And then it is again updating 1 month of data. It's taking it's chopping off say 11 months of data and then rerunning the forecast. Similarly, it will keep on adding the month and generating the forecast for each of these models. So hence 78 forecast points would be generated by the system. And then system calculates what was the forecast and what was the actuals and which model performed the best. So in this case, exponential smoothing method, since it's a family of models, this model gave the least MAD, which is the mean absolute deviation between my forecast, which and the actuals, which the system calculated for the last 12 periods. So hence it's saying that because of the lower MAD of exponential smoothing, it is selecting that model. Now I can also further look at the exact detail of the model. So it is an exponential smoothing model, no trend, multiplicative seasonal model. And within that, I can see what is my level and seasonal component. Because there is no trend, I do not have the trend value over here. But if I may see a different product, maybe let's see. If I have a different model, which is exponential smoothing, let's see. In this case, I do have trends. So you can see there is also a trend component available over here. So I can very easily get, and system is optimizing these parameters further. So I get the exact level, trend, and seasonal component, and also month-wise seasonal components as well, which the system is leveraging to generate the forecast, the statistical forecast that you see on the screen over here. So the graph at the bottom is a time series graph where the past data is showcased in green color line and the forecast is shown in red color line. And this is an year on year graph where I can compare, uh, how uh, my how is the seasonality within the products within this particular data series. Sorry, that is something that the system will help us analyze and very easily without us having to put in any effort. System is giving and assigning the models to each and every data point, and it does so within a fraction of time, in less than a few minutes, and you have the ready baseline statistical forecast in front of you to get started and make changes as needed eh, by your team. Now, as you can see on this grid over here, I have the statistical forecast. Now, as part of the collaboration, we may also bring in inputs from my sales team, my planners, my management. But before sharing the forecast or for collaboration, I may want to do some fine tuning. Now, remember initially we saw some exceptions. Now, how do we go about managing those exceptions? They could be outliers in the data. And if we have outliers, I may want to correct them uh, for by marking them as event or by correcting them as outliers. So I can do that over here. Now, in this case, system we are flagging into the system that these two, the spike in sales that we see in the month of January and July, these were because of promotion. Now, for a long period of time, we did not run a promotion, but over here, something happened and there was a reduction in sales. So this is where system has a capability where we can create these different events and then assign these different events to the time period. Now I'm saying that there was some stock out and then there was some promotion, and I have used this promotion to mark in future as well. Now I had a promotion in the month of July, as you can see. The system will also tell me that because of stock out, now this was competitor stock out, so hence it resulted in increase in sales for me. And then this was a promotion which was done by my team, so it resulted in additional 550 units in sale. And then there was this COVID event which resulted in reduction in sales. So I have this particular time period. I've mark this as a promotion. Now, say for example, if I do not mark this as promotion, what would happen? And we would see that the system would significantly reduce the sales. So if I uncheck this option and if I say no event, you can see system will automatically bring down the forecast. Earlier we were seeing the spike and now we do not see that spike. So the this is a very powerful capability within Forecast Pro where the past promotions are leveraged for doing scenario planning, for also fine-tuning my forecast further. Now, you can plan, did this promotion gave me a good result in the past? Yes, this promotion did give me a good result. So hence I would want to use it again to sort of shape up the demand as needed. So these are some of the techniques which are available in the application. We also have something for managing new products as well, uh, where we can use similar products history. So even though this product has only 1 month of data, we can still get some pattern forecast, and that's happening because I'm using an analogy feature. But instead of that, I can also use a product mapping feature where I can quickly search for energy drink and I can say, okay, I would want to use 250 ml history and I would not want to use the full history. I would want to say, just use the history for last uh, uh, prior to December and use a top-down option. So I can do that, and I would be able to now, instead of using uh, using the analogy option, I'm using a product mapping option where I'm borrowing the history from an existing item and applying it to a new product and generating a forecast. So even though I really do not have any pattern at for these products because I do not have any history, but I still am able to generate forecast. So this is where, as a planner, we would do all these changes in the system and then look at collaboration. And this is where the team can come, the sales team can come and feed in their input. We can leverage project collaboration, which is a very recent feature upgrade in Forecast Pro, where we can create smaller projects from the system, where we can create these child projects at different level, or we can create multiple projects if we have some filtered file, depending on what regions there are. We can create these different projects and I can select the hierarchy level at which hierarchy do we want to create these projects. We can do that and and gi give them to the team so that they can open the project. They can view only the data that they need to edit and they can make changes accordingly. So let's look. I'm just going to open up the screen further just to show you how different teams can collaborate. So these are some of the changes that are done by the team. There are comments that are also made by the team as to why they are changing the forecast. And we can see first the sales team is making the change, the planner is then making the change, the management is making the change, and this hierarchy or can be reorganized depending on how it works in your company, in your business, and it's very easy to just punch in the numbers. I can say 35,000. I can change and commit the forecast as needed. And if you would notice, I'm making a change at a very high level. System will break down this forecast to all the levels below, uh, and each and every item would change accordingly. So now I've selected just a view for looking at how my inventories are moving because I had, along with my forecast, I had also fed in into the system my targets. So I can also, along with my forecast, see what are my targets. Since I've fed in the conversions, I can see the value. I can also, because I've also fed in the conversion, the cost as well, so I can see the margin percentage at a granular level, and I can see it at a top level as well. I can see my month to date sales. I can see what my to go sales are. I mean, these are some of the formulas that we have created in the system just to get a glimpse. We have some standard options available where I can see my YTD numbers. I can see what my lead times are for this particular product. What is my demand during lead time? What is my safety stock? What is my reorder point? What is my opening inventory? How much more do I need to order? And what would be my closing stock? What would be my inventory ordering value? So on the graph, I can see my past data for last 12 months, and then I can see next 12 months, what is my forecast, what is my order quantity, and because I have a lead time of 3 months, I can see my months of inventory or the closing month is pretty low for the first 2 months, but it sort of shoots up in the month of April after 3 months are over. So I can see how my inventory is also progressing as we move from one item to another item. So this are now, of course, Focus Pro is an application primarily for forecasting, uh, but it also gives you these options where I can see in detail my safety stock calculations for each and every item and what is my safety stock. I can feed in my service levels for each and every item. I can do lot of things in Forecast Pro. I have option to play around with Pareto, and I can assign via the Excel uploads that for A class item, what would be my service level, for B class item, what would be my service level, C class item, and system would be able to then define and figure out how much safety stock should we be maintaining for each and every item. So that's the power of Forecast Pro. I'm sure there's a lot of things that I've not really touched upon, but due to the limitation of time, I wanted to showcase how you can not only generate accurate forecasts, but also look at your inventory level and optimize your inventories further by leveraging some of the features which are available in Forecast Pro. So that's about it from my side. Over to you, Sabina and
Thank you, Sheetal, for that great presentation. We'll be getting to the Q&A portion in just a moment. So just a reminder, if you haven't already, go ahead and submit your questions with the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. I do just want to remind you quickly that today's presentation is being recorded, so we'll be posting that to our website and our YouTube channel sometime next week when it's available. And we'll also be emailing you a link when that recording is available. Now, we do have some other upcoming events that I just want to make you aware of. So today's webinar is part of our quarterly educational webinar series. We do have another webinar series called Succeeding with Forecast Pro, which is more product focused. So it offers guidance into best practices for leveraging some of the different features that Forecast Pro offers so that you can improve your forecasting. So in 2 weeks on May 16th, Franklin Ray, our senior trainer here at BFS, will be presenting a webinar on new products. So he'll be covering strategies and best practices for forecasting with new products, including how and when to use product mapping, and he'll also offer his insight into managing product life cycles. So if you're someone who's tasked with forecasting new products, you definitely won't want to miss it. You can register for this webinar uh, by visiting our website. So you can visit the link here on the screen, forecastpro.com/events. We also will be running one of our popular online business forecasting workshops this July, so July 23rd through 25th. For those of you who may not be aware, these are 3-day workshops hosted online via Zoom, and they dive into various forecasting methods and best practices for using each of them. So this is a really valuable workshop, whether you're new to forecasting and looking to get a foundational understanding of all the different models available. It's also really great for those who are more experienced forecasters that are looking to deepen their knowledge and refine their forecasting process a little bit. So again, that's going to be from July 23rd through 25th. Just like the webinar I just mentioned, you can find more details and registration by visiting this link, forecastpro.com/events. And finally, you saw Sheetal use Forecast Pro today. So if you want to learn more about the software, reach out to us. You can request a demo right now, just within the chat function. You can give us a call at the number here on the screen or visit our website. You can scan this QR code if you want to quickly get on our website. There, you can also download a free trial of the software and try it out. So with all of that, let's get into the Q&A. Okay, so we got several questions, so we'll get right into them. The first question that someone asked is, do you have any clients from the car rental industry? And then this is a multiple part question. So the first question, do you have any clients from the car rental industry? And what is the accuracy level of Forecast Pro? And then can you do a test forecast if I give you dummy data?
Thanks, Sabina, for that question. I
Hmm.
see that question as well. Do we have any clients from car rental agency? Probably not, but we'll have to look into the exact customer. I may have to dig into that detail. However, we do have several cases now for the car rental industry. We do see that it would be quite predictable, would have quite seasonal, strong weekday patterns as well if it's daily data. And I'm assuming the accuracy would be pretty good from the system perspective because of the seasonal nature of the kind of details that we are looking at in this case. Uh, the other portion that I see is can you do a test forecast if I give you very well, we can certainly do a test forecast. If you can share the dummy data, we also offer free trials. So you can do that yourself. We can communicate and guide you as to how you can load the data into the system and do the testing yourself. We would be happy to showcase with your data as well as to how you can best leverage the system and what would be the output. So yeah, happy to support. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, yeah, that was great. So the next question, someone asked, can I add notes to the tool with reasons for decisions made?
Absolutely. I think I did showcase that during the presentation where we were able to not just override the forecast, but we were also able to add the notes for why we changed the statistical forecast from X amount to Y amount. And we can also view all of those changes in an override report. Let me see if I can share my screen again and show that as well. So I hope my screen is visible. Let me know if it is.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. So if I go to I'm just going back to this portion of the screen over here, and I can add comments or I'll just quickly make a change to my forecast over here, say 200 units. I can also add in the comment as to this was a, higher sales. I'm just making some random comment over here, higher sales expected. But yes, you would be able to make changes to the forecast and also record these changes. And as I would hover my mouse, you would see who's made the change, when the change was made, and what is the change and the comment. Similarly, we also would get a detailed forecast override report, which would give me a detail of all the changes that are made, what was the baseline figure, what was the changes and the comments that are made. So I can filter down on these reports. I can filter on a specific row, as in who's made the change, which role has made the change, and what were the comments made there. I can also export this report to Excel to do further analysis. So yes, there is a capability in the tool to add notes.
Okay, great. So the next question we got, they were asking if Forecast Pro integrates with Salesforce.
Focus Pro can be integrated to any system. I don't see that to be a challenge because the system has been used across different industries. So we have standardized the connections, and possibly Sarah and team would be able to add more details there. We can straight away, of course, connect to an Excel data source or an MLT file, or if you want to connect data directly, then we have an option to integrate via ODBC connection. So the file and the data handshake can happen in the tool.
Okay. Next question, someone asked if you could explain how actuals are fed into the system.
Okay, now depending on the data source, it's very easy to upload. I think I would take a minute of the time to just showcase how easy it is to import the data into the system. I'm just opening an Excel file over here. So this is where I've collated all the data. So you can see the hierarchy that we had created in the project. Similar fashion, we have created the hierarchy over here. We have the description, and these are some 4, 5 columns which are sort of mandatory but easy, as you can see. And then I have say month-wise data available over here. Now, how do I add more data? How do I fed in the latest actual data? I just have to punch in the numbers over here and just save this file. Now, once I save this file with the changes, the moment I would open up this project, it would show me a window. As you can see, it is trying to identify that these are some of the files which are recent, and hence I need to refresh it. But the moment I would open the project, it would ask me, do I need to rerun the forecast, or do I need to re-import the data, because it would have detected that there is a change in the data, even if it's in Excel, and it would prompt the user to refresh the project. So that's how system would read the actual. So it's pretty easy process. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So the next question, someone asked if we have any gift industry clients.
I'm sure. So we have implemented the system to gift industry customers as well. I Yes. So just to answer your question, yes.
Okay, great. Let's see, continuing on to the next question. Someone said they're curious about how Forecast Pro allows users to control the lock. So they said, when I update monthly actuals, I work on the DP for 3 days. I'd like to lock the forecast for all Forecast Pro metrics. So for example, for 3 days after the actuals are updated, and they need to lock the lock to coincide with the organizations.
So we do not have time-based lock in the system. There are locks available in different formats. We call it as, if I go to the operations, yeah. So we do have something called as time fence feature, where once I have submitted, or if I have frozen or if my forecast say I have a time of, or I have to freeze the forecast for next 2 or 3 months, I can certainly do that by providing a time fence feature so that no user would be able to make changes to the forecast. But I think what you're asking is slightly different, whether can we lock the forecast changes after say 3 days or so. That's something that we cannot do, but we have an option in the system where we have our latest feature, which is project collaboration. Now, if I create these projects, I give access to the user, and I can decide whether I would give this project access to the user or not. So I can, at any given point of time, because I would be keeping this project at a shared network, so I can control who has the access. But then that's slightly manual process. I'm not sure whether that's what you were looking at this stage, but certainly the possibilities, the workarounds are there in the system.
Okay. The next question we got, they asked, with your scope of companies and industries, could you look for unexpected correlation, especially with leading indicators? So for example, car rentals could be a 6-month leading indicator of food and beverage sales.
It's quite an interesting question.
Mhm.
Uh, so we do have, say, certain examples where, for example, how the number of house construction that's happening in a certain area, which would sort of result in an increase, or determine what would be the sale of decor items, or it could be the home furnishing items, and that can act as a leading indicator, because it typically takes anywhere depending on 6 months to 1 year to build up that project, the housing project. So depending on how many number of housing projects are going on, that could have a direct relationship. So why not? If there is a relationship, and if you feel that has a direct relationship, we have to do that testing out in the system. But if we can do that testing, then certainly and if the correlations are pretty strong, then certainly you can use it. But I may want to take Sarah's input. Sarah, if you have possibly any suggestion here. Okay, seems like Sarah may be on it.
Guess not doesn't have anything to add to that.
Okay, perfect.
Um, I'll try to get to a couple more questions. I'm keeping an eye on time. I know we just have a couple minutes left. Another question that someone asked is, how have you successfully leveraged machine learning approaches?
So now we have a lot of customers who, now AI ML approach, it is being widely used term. Now, how do we really leverage it within Focus Pro? That's pretty interesting. And what we have within Focus Pro is a very important feature. We call it as machine learning feature. Now we use extreme gradient boosting technique along with a lot of these forecasts. So it automatically picks up the best fit forecast. Now that's one. Now we have a very important case. The way Focus Pro has designed machine learning feature, it is pretty interesting to note that we can tell the system, hey, look, we believe that these are certain parameters. It could be certain promotion data, it could be certain events data, that there was a stock out, or there was some other event that had happened. Along with that, certain explanatory variable. It could be my web traffic. It could be for that matter the housing project that we were talking about. So we can have all of these parameters, feed it into the system, and we can we can give the choice to the ML machine learning method, where it would automatically figure out if this particular parameter has a direct impact on my demand. And if it does, it will select the parameter. If it does not, it would just remove the parameter. So things like which we were earlier, trying to manually figure out if there is a relationship between the two variables, which is the independent variable and the dependent variable, my demand and say the external variable. If there is a strong relationship or not, this machine learning method would automatically figure that out for us. So it's quite powerful and intuitive feature.
And just quickly, when I was asked before, I was on mute. I apologize. That said, Sheetalogist actually took us through one of the best ways to actually integrate a leading indicator into a forecasting model. So we have both ML, which, as Sheetal was saying, is a lot more automatic, a lot less heavy lifting than our alternative, which is dynamic regression. Which is also another really great way to integrate leading indicators into a forecasting model.
Yep. We can also integrate that.
Great. Well, it looks like we're just about up to time, so I think that's all the questions we'll take today. Just a reminder for everyone, again, if we didn't get to your question, we'll follow up with you by email. So we will make sure that we address everything, but we really want to thank you all for joining us and taking the time to attend our webinar.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for the time. Have a good day.
Have a great day.